Today, I'm happy to be joined by the Dallas Cowboys long snapper. He is a Pro Bowler and an NFL veteran, my friend Matt Overton. What's going on, Matt? How are you this evening?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. Just so glad that we're able to get this, interview. We've been talking about it, so happy that we're able to, chat this evening. So, what do you think the team's mindset is after that kind of tough loss that against the Packers going into Minnesota this week? That team is 7-1. It's a pretty big challenge. So, what's the mindset going heading in?
I mean, I think it's just the same it is every single week. You got to understand it's a long season. We're halfway point right now. We're 6-3. There's a lot of teams that wish that they were in our position. So at the end of the day, we have to keep things in perspective. Yeah, we wish we would have come out of Lambeau with that victory on Sunday night, but hey, we have another one, a big one ahead of us, and they're all big. It's every game from here on out means a lot. It doesn't matter who you're playing. This is a tough opponent on the road. Obviously, they're coming off of a massive win against Buffalo. But you know what? Every week's different. You look across the league every single week. There are teams that are counted out that win, and we're not to say that our back's against the wall by any means, but we're determined to get back in the win column against a tough team. And we talked about this after the game. Sometimes losing in the fashion that we did in Green Bay, going to overtime, playing those tough, close games in cold weather on the road, hostile environment. Sometimes there's a lot of good things that can come from that. You learn how to handle that. And perhaps this is a good experience for us to go through as a team right now. Yeah, the loss stings, but it's already Wednesday and we're moving on. So lick your wounds, get better, and I think the team is very motivated right now.
100% agree, man. That's happy that you guys are motivated and just ready to move on and get the win this Sunday. So happy that you guys are heading in the right direction with your mindset. And you've been a newer member of this Dallas Cowboys team. You joined in October. You know, who was the first guy that I guess greeted you and the first player that kind of talked with you and kind of helped you get used to things once you joined the Cowboys?
Actually, it was Jake McQuaid, the snapper that was here that got injured, unfortunately. Jake
Yeah.
and I have been in the league together for a long time. We've played against each other for a long time. So I'm familiar with him. And so he was actually one of the first guys that I saw when I came in here. And so got to chat with him just a little bit and catch up with him. But Brian Anger, our punter, and Brett Maher, our kicker, kind of took me under their wing. It's kind of weird. This is, my fifth team that I've been on in my 11-year career. And this is probably the first team that I haven't had a familiar face on the team from somebody that I played with elsewhere.
Okay.
I've had some coaches though, so that was familiar with me. Yeah, this is like the first place that I almost literally knew nobody. I mean, I knew Brian, I knew Brett, just because specialists were a small little fraternity, and
Yeah.
typically we know each other from afar. Played against Brian a lot because he was with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I was with the Colts. We played each other twice a year. He was in Houston, played against him several times. So it's good to be here with those veteran guys. But I'm still to this day. I've been here for about 6 or 7 weeks or so, and I'm still learning names every single day. So it's a great place to be, and I'm very fortunate to be here.
Yeah, man, glad that we are able to meet up over there. And you mentioned you played for a lot of teams throughout your NFL career, and you spent a lot of years in Indianapolis. I mean, with the Cowboys, like I think you were with the Rams at some point, the Chargers, the Jaguars as well. So I mean, how do you kind of deal with moving like back and forth with teams throughout your career? Like there are many players who are like journeymen and they go through different teams. How do you kind of handle all those changes?
It's not easy. It gets a little easier because you're familiar with kind of how the process goes. Earlier on, I spent 5 years consecutive with the Colts, and then from there I went to Jacksonville for a couple years. But since then, since 2019, I've been on a new team every single year. So it's been a grind. It's been a process. But there's been a blessing in every single stop that I've been to, and so I think, you know, I have my wife and my daughter with me, so it makes it a little more challenging logistically because we have to move. Um, but it makes it exciting, you know, and we're fortunate that we have been blessed to be here in Dallas. It's an incredible organization from top on down. You know, growing up, I was a 49er fan, so we were always battling the Cowboys in the NFC every single year, trying to get the Super Bowl. And
Okay.
I was not a fan of the Cowboys growing up. You know, I was a diehard Niner fan, but always respected the Cowboys just because, you know, they're like the Yankees. You know, everyone recognizes the star on the helmet. Everyone knows who Jerry Jones is, and it's a big deal. You know, it's a really big deal to be a Cowboy, and so it's an honor and privilege to be here. And the staff is incredible, teammates are incredible, and our family is enjoying it so far.
Yeah, for sure. Just having a chance to be at the Star, last month was pretty incredible. Seeing all the facilities that they have there. I think it's truly a remarkable experience. And glad that you view things so positively. I was wondering, what differences there are between, the organizations that you played for, like, for example, like in Indianapolis, you were there for, a good amount of years. So how would you say like it compares between different teams based on how they treat their players and like the facilities and stuff like that? How would you say it kind of compares to, I guess, what the Cowboys have there?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a question I get asked pretty frequently. You know, when you're in the NFL and you're with one team, you don't know what you don't know. Meaning, you know, you're only like a lot of these young guys that are here with the Cowboys this year. You know, they don't know anything outside of the Star,
Yeah.
and the Star facility is one of the best I've ever seen. And you know, they would say, you know, it's Jerry's world and everything's bigger in Texas. Well, it's true, and but they do it the right way here. Every little detail, you know, from the food, the preparation, just the resources they give us players, they give our families while we're here. Obviously, the fan base is huge and incredible. But I mean, you've seen the Star in person, and when you see it, it's pretty immaculate.
Yeah.
Um, and it's by far the best facility that I've been able to work in. But again, they just do everything the right way, and it's the little things that I've noticed here that maybe some of the other organizations that I've been with particularly don't do quite as well. And that's not to say that I'm knocking any other organization. It's just every organization really is different. I think everyone has this perceived notion that the NFL is like this glitz and glam like thing. And I was with the Chargers last year, and they don't have, you know, their facility is like a leased space that is in a kind of an industrial park. You would never know that the Chargers practice in there, you know. So going from there, which was great, to the Star is a completely different world, and it's incredible. It's really it is it's pretty incredible to be able to walk into that facility every single day.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really glad that, you mentioned that. That's pretty interesting about, how the facilities change. And, want to hear from you. This is the first time like I'm interviewing like a long snapper. What is like the typical training for you? And, how do you prepare and I guess exercise for a position?
Yeah, it's a very unique skill set. I like to call myself the upside down quarterback.
Okay.
So people don't know necessarily what the long snapper position is. You know, I just say, well, think of it as an upside down quarterback. You know, I'm looking between my legs. I see things upside down, and I snap the ball between my legs. You know, and so a lot of it has come down to just refining my accuracy and working on protection and working on getting my hands and eyes up and quickly to block somebody. And this is just, you know, this is, like I said, this is my 11th year in the NFL. You know, I played long snapper in high school and college. So let's just say, you know, for 20 years, I've been
Okay.
practicing this skill, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of repetitions that have gone into it to get to me to where I am today. And we get a lot of reps here at practice, even if it's not with the full team. Me, Brian, and Brett, and our special teams coordinator Bones and Stu. I mean, we're always working on the side or in the indoor facility on our operations and our time. So there's really every single day we're working on something that is critical to our position.
Yeah, for sure. I think, John Fossil is pretty famous, I'd say, in terms of special teams coordinators. Pretty much everyone, who follows the NFL knows who he is, and I think he does a very good job. And I'm interested to hear, like every time you snap the ball, do you think it's like you get like the perfect snap possible that you can possibly get, or is there like certain things that you have to fix based on like direction or like to help, I guess, the placement of where the ball is, like how do you like make sure it's like the best snap it can possibly be?
I mean, it really just comes down to trusting your technique and trusting your ability. Most of the time when I run out to the field, I kind of black out, meaning like I'm so focused on the play in hand that sometimes I don't quite remember. It's almost like second nature and muscle memory when it comes to the snap. It just comes down to trusting it. Obviously, there's some keys that I do personally that's within my pre-snap routine, whether it's the grip of the ball in my hand, my feet, what my eyes are looking at.
Okay.
So when I'm talking about long snapping to somebody who doesn't necessarily know what it really is, I just kind of I draw the metaphor of like, hey, think of yourself as you're shooting a bow and arrow, or you're shooting a long range rifle or something. And you're looking down the scope at your target, or you're pulling that arrow back, ready to shoot at something. It's kind of the same thing where my arms are kind of locked and loaded, and then my eyes are looking at my target, and I have that same release. That the goal is to have that same follow through and release every single time to create that perfect spiral and hit my target and being accurate and consistent every single time. And so, there's times where I snap the ball and I already know that it's a little off, or it doesn't come off my hand right, or the ball's wet or the ball's cold, in different weather conditions, or it's windy. So you got to play some of those factors. It's same with kickers. They have to aim a different direction when it's windy out, or if it's there's a headwind or something like that. So it's just one of those things where like every snap is it's a different play, but you just approach it the same way as you prepare, and you go through those mental check little check notes, and you just kind of you do it so much, and it's so
Yeah.
many repetitions that it just becomes like second nature. And you hone in on that, and you rely on your skill, and you just trust it.
Yeah, for sure. When you're doing something so often, it's kind of built into your brain. And, I think it's really great to see that, you really trust in your technique. And I have this honest question. I think just like seeing all these reporters talk about the game against the Packers where Coach McCarthy decided to go for it instead of taking the field goal. Like, do you think that based on what you saw like during pregame and stuff, do you think that Brett would have been able to like hit it from 50? Was he able to like consistently like make it during pregame at all?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no question about it. And I know Brett would say the same thing. I know Coach McCarthy would say the same thing, that, Brett could definitely make it. There was a slight wind. Obviously, as the game went on, the temperatures dropped down. It felt like, 25 degrees out. So in that case, the ball's a little harder. It doesn't fly as far. If you watch the game, you see Mason Crosby, who has kicked there his entire career.
Yeah.
He had like a 54 yarder, and it didn't even make it out of the end zone. So that just gives you an idea of kicking. That was the same direction we were kicking in. So
Okay.
if you go back and look at that play, and it was in the first quarter, I think it was the first drive the Packers had. He missed that field goal. He probably would have made it 9 out of 10 times, but that one time it fell short, and it's because maybe a little wind, it's a little colder out. And Lambeau is a tough place to kick. Again, not saying that Brett couldn't make it, because we know that he could, and we had full confidence. We were actually ready to run on the field and go kick that field goal. But
Okay.
on the flip side of it, you have to understand that when momentum is in your hand, and we had the momentum, we had some tough penalties that drive that knocked us back. I think two holding penalties that just crushed us. And it was a fourth and short. And hey, you put the ball in Dak's hands, and you just let him, make that play. And unfortunately, it didn't go our way. But if we did make that first down, it gives us even more momentum, and we were there to go win the game. We didn't want the Packers to have a possession in overtime. And I agree with the call. Be aggressive. Sometimes you ride or die with those decisions. And we're with Coach McCarthy. Hey, he made that decision as our head coach, and we just go with it. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. Um, but it just, I know people are going to question that call, and it always happens when any head coach around the league makes a call like that. But hey, man, we trust it. We trust our offense, and next time it occurs, we're gonna make it happen, and we're gonna win it.
Yeah, for sure. Really like that mindset. And I think, Coach McCarthy definitely knows trying to put the right people in the right positions. And, I think I agree with that momentum. If you go down, score a touchdown, you don't even give Rodgers the ball. So, I mean,
Yeah.
definitely that. So, yeah, man. So that was great analysis right there. And, I was wondering sometimes when field goals get blocked, there are people that like try to jump over like the long snapper, or like over the people who are, blocking in front. So how do you try and like prevent that if someone like tries like to jump over?
Well, I mean, if you there was a few games ago, I think it was the Rams versus the Buccaneers, and
Okay.
uh, there was I think it was Wagner who jumped over the center. So typically, he's not Bobby Wagner's not in the A gap in a 3-point stance on field goal block. So for us, we do a lot of scouting and watch a lot of film. And if we see somebody that's like, hey, this guy shouldn't be here, then that kind of raises our antennas a little bit. And maybe the guards on the left and right of me, they'll raise up a little bit, because the rule is whoever jumps over the center, they can't make any contact. So
Okay.
even if the top of even if the bottom of his foot like just scrapes the top of my jersey, it's a
Mhm.
penalty. You can't make any contact.
Yeah.
So with that being said, if we see that, I can raise up a little higher, and the guards can help me do that. And if that jumper touches any part of anybody or uses a body to leap over and project himself over, then it's a penalty. So in that case, it doesn't happen very often because of the new rule, and they can't be off the line and go and run and jump over. Before they used to be able to do that. Now they have to be on
Yeah.
the line of scrimmage. Um, so again, Bobby Wagner is a freak athlete, and he's typically not where he was. So if we see that, we're gonna tip it off, and we're gonna tell the guards to raise up a little bit, or hunker down and try to grab him or something like that. So
Yeah.
it happens every now and then, and it was just a good play on Bobby's part, and timed it up really really well. So yeah, again, it just comes down to, if we recognize that, we got to communicate it, and we got to make sure that it doesn't happen.
Yeah, for sure, man. I really like hearing all this stuff because like I'm just trying to get a feel of what you guys think during the game. And it's pretty cool to hear all this. And now I want to hear about more about you. Like, what are some of your hobbies outside of football that you like to do? Are there any like projects or like stuff that you're working on outside of football?
Yeah, so now that I'm a dad, I don't have much of the free time that I once had a few years ago. So I have a almost 2-year-old daughter, and then we have one on the way that's due in March.
Okay.
But when I was when I had no kids, I loved to fish. Do a lot of fishing when I lived in Indianapolis. I'd go bass fishing a lot. I do a lot of community outreach stuff. So I have my own youth camp that I host called Pros to Youth back in my hometown of Tracy, California. I've done that a few times. I do a lot of support with pediatric cancer research, whether it's here in with the Children's Hospital here in Dallas, which my cause, my cleats this year will go towards that, or back in Indianapolis with Riley Kids, or Children's Hospital of LA. I did some stuff with them last year, so that's near and dear to me. And really now, I've been really I see a lot of memorabilia in your background,
Yeah.
and so I'm really really big into sports cards right now. Um, so I've been collecting for almost over a year and a half now. I'm big into football, baseball, and basketball cards, particularly teammates of mine, and collecting memorabilia. I think it's really cool. So I see all your knickknacks behind you, man. I think that's really awesome. So
Yeah.
I actually I do a lot of cards online, whether it's through eBay or whatnot, and I do a lot of online giveaways through whatnot, and creating content on YouTube with other people in the hobby. So actually, that's been a huge passion of mine as of late. So it's been a fun hobby, and hopefully I can make it out to the Dallas Card Show, which I hear is a huge event. Happens I think every 2 months out here. But yeah, that's all I got going right now. But being a husband and being a father is a lot of fun. We have baby number 2 on the way, so
Yeah.
that brings a lot of joy to me too.
Yeah, congratulations on that. And that's awesome, man. And this is actually a Colts hat that I have here, and
I
that's
see that.
yeah. So I'm an ambassador for the Muscular Dystrophy Association. So Naheem Hines, who was the Colts running back, now he's with the Bills. He was also an ambassador, so I got to meet him here when he played the Texans, and he gave me that hat. So got
That's
some,
awesome.
yeah, got
He's
something.
he's a good dude. I played golf with him this off season, and he's a great guy. Great guy.
Yeah, for sure, man. Definitely wish him all the best. And um,
Yeah.
I think I saw like when you were, I think you're like were you like a real estate agent at some point? I think was that
Yeah.
in like your bio? So
Yeah.
how did that happen?
Yeah, so I forgot to mention that. So yeah, I'm a licensed real estate agent in the state of Indiana and Tennessee. So my wife and I, we live in Nashville full time. But at the time, in 2019, I actually sat out the entire NFL year. I didn't play at all. I was in Jacksonville for training camp and preseason, and I got released and sat out all year. During that time, I was in the process of getting my license, and I kind of put it on hold because of football. Well, that was a time where I had the most time, so I went back to school and finished my testing and got my license in Indiana. Worked with a great team out there who I still work with today, and got going. I had great momentum going, and then in 2020, I got signed to the Titans, so I played for the Titans in 2020. And that's what prompted my wife and I to move there full time. But I also got my license there after the season. So I started working in Nashville as a real estate agent in 2021. And I've been helping buy and sell houses ever since. So yeah, I do that very, very part time, just because of obviously playing is tough. But I actually last year or in the year before that, I sold multiple houses while I was playing actually.
Wow.
So it was a lot of work, but I had a great team helping me, and I'll never forget. There was actually I think it was I was on a road. I was with the Titans. I was on the road in the hotel getting ready to go to bed night before a game, and I had a client reaching out to me like honestly like 11 or 12 at night, and they needed something. I'm like scrambling. I didn't have my computer, so I had my phone, and I'm sending documents over because it needed to be submitted. And so yeah, I've had the duty of like wearing two hats, football Matt and real estate Matt, and I had to help these clients because they were closing on a house, and that was a little stressful, but it was fun. And I like to use my knowledge with real estate with a lot of young guys who are looking to uh, buy a home or buy a condo, and so it's been a lot of fun helping those guys talking about like investing and some of the tricks of the trade when it comes to buying or selling a house or relocating or anything like that, or renting it out on a short lease. So real estate is definitely another passion of mine, and I can see myself doing that for a long time as well.
That's actually really impressive, man, for you to do that like during the season. That's really impressive. You must be like the go-to guy for NFL players. If
I
they
mean,
need
I try to be. Like I said, I say it very lightly. I'm very, 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 very part time. But if somebody needs my help, I've actually helped. Coincidentally, I helped one of my Chargers teammates' family move from California to Nashville. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome, man.
yeah,
That's a really cool experience. And I also saw that you played in the UFL, if I'm correct. How was that? How was that kind of experience? I'm interested to hear about that.
yeah. So the United Football League existed for like 5 years, 2009 through like 2000 and maybe 12 or something like that, or 13. Um, that was my saving grace when it came to resurrecting my career. So I went undrafted in 2007 and was only in mini camp, and played in the Arena League. And again, I came out of college as a very raw long snapper. I played linebacker and defensive end in college, but long snapping was what I was getting scouted as for the pros. And there was no opportunity outside of the NFL, and so the UFL came along, which is equivalent to today's USFL or XFL. Um, and I was fortunate to play in that league, which really helped me elevate my game and get better, and keep my name acclimated. Because after the 2011 season in the UFL, that's when I got signed to the Colts. So it was because of that league that helped me, and it was a lot of guys that it helped save their careers or help get them noticed. And what's cool about it is, I played for Jim Haslett, and his son is on our staff here at the Cowboys. And then one of our assistant strength coaches, is he was my strength coach in the UFL. So I've come I've crossed paths with a lot of guys that I played with or was a coach at some capacity in the UFL. So it's really cool to reminisce about that league, and where we're at now. So yeah, the UFL was great. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I'm so glad it helped you in your career and get you where you are. Like, and then when you finally made it and played in an NFL game, just tell me like the emotions that you felt, just like that you made it. I guess.
Oh man, I'll never forget my first game. It was a home preseason game against the St. Louis Rams at the time, and this is 2012 with the Colts. And again, it took me 6 years after college to play my first game. Um, so it was a long journey to get to that point, a lot of ups and downs. And man, I was so nervous to play my first game. I had my whole family,
Oh yeah.
my parents fly out because I was like, hey, if this is my only NFL game, you need to come watch and be there. And so they were there, and I was so nervous, man, going in there. But once I stepped foot on that field, like I said, I talked about that blacking out. I was so focused and confident in my ability that I went out there and I just was like on the sideline. I was shaking like a tree. But once I stepped foot on that field, man, I was just like, it was like it was in such a deep zone that I just blacked out. I went out there and played really, really well, and won the job that year, and so it's just kind of crazy to think about and reflect about, that day, and here I am 11 years later, still playing this game for a living, and try not to take any day for granted, because it goes by very, very fast, and it's a blessing. I never would have thought um, that I would have been fortunate to play this long. So it's a blessing, man.
For sure. I think it's incredible. Your journey's pretty amazing. And, Matt, I think I really appreciate the time today. I think it was a great interview. And, thank you so much that we were able to do this. And thank you so much, man.
Yeah,
Um,
no, you live down in Houston, I assume, huh? Because I know you're a big Astros fan.
yeah, big Astros fan, won the World Series. So,
I
yeah,
know. I was pulling for the Phillies because I'm a big Bryce Harper fan. But no, you guys had an incredible season. So I'm really excited to be out here, and hopefully we should go catch a game, man. We should go to a Rangers game, or try to get to an Astros game or something like that, man. We'll try to make that happen.
oh, yeah, that would be amazing, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
uh,
absolutely. And I think you're incredible, man. You have a very, very bright future, and I'm excited to see the content you put out there, and maybe you'll be working for NFL Network or ESPN one day, man.
yeah, that's the goal, man. That's the goal. Hopefully it'll happen. Appreciate the time.
How about you start your own network? Even better.
Yeah, I mean, that's my YouTube channel, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, man.
Yeah, I
Um,
appreciate you, bud.
yeah, appreciate it. Hey, man. So, um, hopefully you can, hey, tell Dak hi, by the way. Hopefully,
I
you're
will. I'll tell Dak hello.
awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. You have a good night, okay?
Yeah, you too. Bye bye.